Jeff Jarrett is not scheduled to be in the World Heavyweight title picture for the next few pay-per-views, at least. As TNA expands, Jarrett has realized his need to step back from trying to wear so many hats, while he still has tremendous influence on the creative direction and holds a VP title and is co-owner of the company. He is not as dead set on being the sole wrestler the company is built around at this point, perhaps because he senses Dixie Carter and Kevin Day don't think that's the best plan. We still have like 6 months of the company still kind of being built around Jarrett until it's finally not. But we do seem to be getting to the point where even Jarrett's like, I can't be the top star over Christian and Sting.
It's nice that it really took like him to not be I think be exposed is a really mean way of saying it, but like having people go in and be in his position and do it better for him to be like, oh, I am not him. But like it has eventually dawned on him.
And like he could like make the argument that like he had more of the tools to be a world champion than AJ. I don't agree with that assessment, but like I can understand how he can make that case and make it convincingly to somebody.
Yeah. And again, I always thought that like AJ was more of a like longer term or medium term project. So like I never minded like Jeff taking his role early on when there was nothing else. But
yeah, Raven is probably the more egregious example. He can no longer make that argument with like Christian and Sting. He just can't.
It was okay for Jarrett to be there in the analytics period of 111 weeks.
Dixie Carter continues to be very active within TNA, even though she is heavily pregnant at the moment, once again with her second child. I think she's like 7 or 8 months pregnant at this point. Working with business affiliates, promoting the company, and overseeing the entire operation. She is spending less time getting to know individual wrestlers since she found herself in a position common to new executives in wrestling companies over the years, where wrestlers tried to befriend her and get her to see things their way. People tried to have it. She's realized wrestlers entirely tried to have transactional relationships with management.
She realizes that workers be working.
She is still visible and friendly, but now has enough of a foundation to her wrestling knowledge that she doesn't answer every call from every wrestler anymore as she once did. Speaking of foundations to her wrestling knowledge, Vince Russo was being talked about as a booking replacement for Jarrett just before the rating spike for Sting ended that talk. I don't understand this. Like, you can say that, like, ratings have not, like, continued to grow since they started on Spike, but where they are is, like, really healthy. Like, it's really good. You should be really happy with where those ratings are at the moment, compared to where you were a year ago. Like, where you were when Russo finished compared to where they are now is, like, night and day. It's crazy. And they're still like, what if we went back to Vince Russo?
There is truly no explanation for why this company continued to put so much stock in this man forever.
Forever as well. Like, all the way through to fucking 2014, we have to do this dance, Liam.
I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense.
He must be, like, the best politician of all time.
He doesn't, like, come across as particularly likable.
But it's the only explanation, right? He's got to be really good at manipulating, like, management types.
Yeah. Like anyone that's, like, a regular person can see through it, but anyone who's, like, I am money man is just like, this guy's awesome. He's so real and different.
I'm sure he's, like, real personable. And I know, like, there were stories that he used to literally sit next to Dixie and explain the stories to her as they happened. But he's got to be really good at that. It's the only way it makes sense that you can be like, what if we went back to him? Because they do. Yeah. That's the problem. They do by September. We're in March, so this is not like a fleeting idea that went away. It's like, this is one that festered and grew over time because they go back to Vinny Roo by September. So, like, it's so frustrating to see them now where, like, they started on Spike and they have all this momentum and they signed Sting and they signed Christian and they're going to sign Kurt Angle and they're still like, what if we had Vinny Roo?
Yeah, and then he comes in and he makes it way better.
It would be funnier, at least.
I don't know. I just don't know. He must be really good at working, like, people in the business, too.
Yeah.
Because, like, you can understand why, like, a Dixie would fall for this, right? But, like, you would expect a fellow carny like a Jeff Jarrett to be like, I can see through you.
Well, he's always been Jeff's buddy, so there's like a weird conflict there where they're friends. So maybe that blinds them. But like a Sting. Surely a Sting is like, I experienced WCW. No. You're not if you're doing that, you're not doing with me.
I don't know. It's just interesting that like no one can see through this guy as being a gigantic fraud.
And like Sting is a level of guy who could say no, because if like you go to Dixie Carter and you're like, you can have Russo or you can have Sting, Dixie is going to choose Sting.
Yeah.
But clearly he's too nice a guy. He's not enough of a politician to do that.
Ah, damn it, Steve. The one thing that lets you see through everything is the one thing that stops you from preventing it.
Probably connected about Jesus as well.
Ah, they do love Jesus.
Bill Banks left the creative team about 2 months ago. It started rumors of Russo, the longtime Banks associate, angling to get back in. Russo has said publicly that he has no interest in ever coming back to TNA. But apparently those who know him well believe differently, and his name comes up internally from a few different people close with him. I guess like there might also be the thing that like a BG James, I don't know is BG close to Russo, but like a guy who's not being pushed particularly strongly might be like, maybe we can get the guy who's my buddy in, so I might get to be pushed because I'm not being pushed. So there might be some of that going on too.
It just seems like, I don't know, where it feels like we're in a stretch now where it's like anyone who is pushed is on every, like all these shows, is doing something. Unless it's like coming from the mentality that like everyone that was in WCW or WWE thinks they should be world champion.
Which I would be surprised that BG James does believe that.
But it's like, it just seems ridiculous. I don't know. It feels like they all came down to this smaller promotion and all think they should be the top guy in this smaller promotion, even though this promotion has legitimate stars now.
Yeah. Terry Taylor has been promoted to Talent Relations Director, basically the same position John Laurinaitis holds in WWE, and Jim Ross and JJ Dillon previously held in WWE. Taylor has worked underneath Ross in the Talent Relations Department at WF in the late 90s and had several management and creative positions in WCW under Eric Bischoff, so he has plenty of experience in the role. There is some conflict apparently about whether or not this is an official title or he just has been given more talent relations responsibilities, but either way he has been given more talent relations responsibilities.
I mean, okay. I feel like you need someone in that role.
Wrestling's bad guy.
Yeah. It's funny, like, having the wrestling bad guy thing, like, worked for Vince. It did not work for Dixie.
No, people still saw through it for Dixie.